Welcome to Politics Done Right. I am your host, Egberto Willies. This is a progressive program that will take the mystery out of politics. This is the program that will encourage you to make sure government becomes we the people. Whether you are liberal, progressive, conservative, or otherwise, you get to air your point of view. We are an independent media outlet that, unlike mainstream media beholden to corporations, we only owe allegiance to you. Remember, you can also send me a tweet at EGBERTOWILLIES. That is at Egberto Willies. Let us engage. It is Politics Done Right.
Well, folks, welcome to one more edition of Politics Done Right. I'm Egberto Willies, your host. Thank you so kindly for being a part of the show. We are going to have a great show for you today. Have we got a show for you today, folks? You are going to love all the stuff that we have. You are going to love it. Anyway, I'm still getting all my P's and Q's taken care of. It's been a crazy day. So I'm here trying to make sure that I've got all my asset managers set up correctly with the stuff that we are doing here. Oh, I forgot to add one thing here. Bear with me. One other thing needs to get added to our asset manager. And as soon as I add it, we are ready to begin the show. Where is it? 501 stream even. Okay. Anyway, folks, we got a lot to talk about. Welcome aboard. In the house, we have, para ver. Today, the first person in the chat was Bridge MCP from, where again? Binghamton, New York. She said, replying to Robin. Oh, let me see what else I got in here. All right, that's all that I have so far. Well, Robin, please, we're registered. And over 5.5 million people attended, not including the rest of the world. Love it. All right, we also have AVQ watching from Brooklyn, New York. We have Yvette Avery Herod watching from, let's see. Yvette Avery Herod watching from, let me see, where am I? Watching from Atlanta, Georgia. I know that, Yvette. Why do I even have to think about it? You know, we also have in the house Michael Rudnick from Brooklyn, New York. Lee the Bearcat from Austin, Texas. We have a piece from Austin today. We also have in the house Eric Hayes from King Guanatascosita. Melanie Keelan from Barcelona, Spain. Paul Fleming from Powder Springs, Georgia. We have in the house as well Patrick Magner from Houston. Patrick, both Ray and I were waiting for you at the Houston Peace and Justice Center event. What happened, bro? We were waiting for you. We had good food, all that good stuff, because we know we were going to have 3 from the PDR posse in one room. But you know, what can I say? I know there are some issues. All right, give me a shout. What happened, Patrick? I really wanted to meet you in person. Anyway, let's see what else we got here. Paul Fleming is in the house talking about SpaceX landed a $5.2 billion contract with the Pentagon for Space Force rocket. That's a damn shame. Bruce Pollard is in the house from Kingwood, Texas. Anyway, I need to get started with these videos quickly. The first thing I want to start with is with the one concerning the thing in Houston. We had a very, very successful gathering in Houston, and I want to play it for you guys because Neil Aquino, my Thursday guy co-host at Kingwood Politics Done Right here in KPFT, I want to go ahead and play that piece for you. So here we go. Oops, I don't think I queued them, but I don't think I set them up on the right channels. So before I get started, I need to make sure the right channels are set. So let's move that over here. Folks, this is crazy. This one person playing producer, director, everything all at once. So when I screw up, I hope you guys forgive me. I do my best. And I'm trying to do my best. I'm putting them all on the right channel so that you guys can actually hear the 50501 piece. Here we go, and we started at this very minute. This morning as I woke up and watched the local news, hoping to see them talk about the 50501 movement rallies that's occurring throughout the country. But since it was local news, specifically here in Houston, where I knew there were many local organizations well advertised that were going to flood city halls, Reflecting Pond, and that whole park area that can hold thousands of people, I just knew, given the amount of people that were going to be out there, that we would get some sort of a news coverage on the morning news. Well, you know what? I watched the entire ABC 13 news. I didn't see the others, but this is one of the major news carriers here in Houston, and there was no mention of this activity. They mentioned of a lot of other occurrences occurring, and this brought back memories when we did our coffee party marches in DC, where it went completely uncovered. But at the same time, if you saw a grouping of 10, 15, 20, 30, 50 Tea Partiers, the mainstream media would come in, focus on these guys, and give them the impression that it's larger than it is. Well, lucky for us, we are doing our own media. And the truth of the matter is, it almost forced the media thereafter to cover the event, because a lot of people are going to want to know, how comes we're seeing all of this on Facebook and our mainstream media is just making a little tacit view of it? Well, finally, in the afternoon news, I started to see coverage of this. And of course, on the national news, they covered many of the different activities throughout the country. Over 1,200 of the 50501 movement events. It is important, folks, that we remember one thing. Recovering this country is not going to happen from the politicians. They've already, many of them, not all. I mean, we have heroes like Al Green, who made it clear that they were going to fight no matter what. But we had so many of our rank and file politicians so timid in addressing Donald Trump, so timid in addressing all the evil emanating from Musk and the president of the United States. Well, you know what? The people are speaking. The people have spoken in this particular event, and it will continue. Donald Trump, as he crashes the economy with these tariffs, as he points out that he knows nothing about governing, but just knows something about the grift, something about stealing your money, something about creating avenues for him to make more money on your losses. As this continue to occur, Americans are starting to wake up. I feel the same types of feelings that we had during Occupy Wall Street. The Occupy Wall Street movement that many of us were a part of. Locally, we did it as Occupy Houston and Occupy Kingwood. I feel that strength again. While I was unable to go to this particular event, we had some of these pictures that you're seeing here came from a local leader in our Indivisible Kingwood movement, Cynthia Hendrickson. And the video that's going to be seen in a few seconds was done by the founder of the Pseudo-Democracy project, Neil Aquino. Check out the video to show you the energy that we're talking about. And as we see, check out some of these photos as well.
All right, we're here in downtown Houston. Neil Aquino, your Houston Democracy Project, and we have a sizable crowd in downtown Houston. And you see we are on the city streets with these great, loyal, patriotic folks, and they are marching and marching and marching and marching. So we've had a great turnout here at the 501 protest here in Houston. Many different groups involved, many different people participating. There's Houston City Hall. You see dwarfed by the buildings of commerce. And we are doing great. So we are here at Houston City Hall, and the folks are marching down. Very good. And here's a sense of it. You get a sense that there's a lot of folks here, a lot of good folks. Must go. And whoever wrote that showing up was half the battle was correct. It's an intellectual act to show up. A lot of people don't know to show up. So it's a good thing, and we will keep walking and keep marching. marching and taking this day by day, and wherever it goes is wherever it goes. But we can't let these white supremacist, fascist, authoritarian thugs screw up our lives. Thank you, folks.
So yes, as it turns out, the event was successful throughout the country. I read a whole lot of newspapers, local newspapers that covered the events. And it turns out, I think, better than we thought it would. Here in Houston, there was a constant threat of inclement weather. In fact, when I got back to Kingwood, we had a tremendous amount of rain, thunder, lightning. We lost power for over an hour. So even with that on our back door, the people in the Houston metropolitan area showed up. Folks, they are ready to take the country back, and that is exactly what we're going to do. Absolutely so, folks. Absolutely so. And let me tell you, Breach points out there were over 5.5 million who protested over the weekend. Remember the magic number, folks. The magic number is that where true revolution occurs is between 2 and 3% of your voting population. Between 2 to 3% of your voting population. When you start to have that amount of people reacting, as in protesting, the government in control is under duress and is likely to, you know what. All right. Paul Fleming says a GOP-controlled state appeals court ruled last week that over 65,000 lawful votes cast in North Carolina Supreme Court race can be thrown out. Well, he also said that the people can come and repair the votes. So it's terrible, but at least if Democrats play their cards right, they will make sure and get their folks in to repair those votes, to make sure that that Democrat who won by 700, I think 46 votes or so, hold on to his lead. Patrick Magner, sorry that you had card trouble, my brother, but still, we miss not seeing you. You know, we had some good food there. Ask Ray about it. Let's see what else we got. Paul Fleming says former Atlanta, Georgia, Keisha Lance Bottom has announced that she'll be running for governor of Georgia. Oh, really? Wow. I like her. I think she has a lot of stamina. I thought that when she got COVID that time, she really showed what strength was all about. All right. What else have we got here? Let's say Maywood, welcome aboard from Long Beach, California. Bridge MCP points out rightfully that tariffs don't work. In fact, all it's going to do is make a few countries who depended on just a few tariffs poorer. Paul Fleming says many Cybertruck owners reported trying to trade in the truck for a new vehicle, and they were told the automaker currently doesn't accept its own vehicle as a trade. That is so funny. Hands off. It was beautiful. Yes, it was, AVQ. It was, in fact, beautiful. The Supreme Court issued a technical stay. Actually, I think it's called an administrative stay. We'll see what becomes of that. Bree says she had to work. I'm not Bree. Yvette Avery had to work, but Yvette, let me tell you, we had your back. We had your back. Lee Grant says the protests weren't very diverse, largely white. Some black leaders encouraged others to play no part in it. It was actually diverse. We had people on the ground. And both Neil Aquino and Cindy Hendrickson pointed out that, no, it was diverse. Remember, black folk only make up 13% of the population. So for every 10 person, you'll only see one black person. So if that's what you got a diverse crowd, folks. Let's see. But there is a movement telling a lot of black folks, for the safety of everybody, that some should stay away, because police officers do not respect black bodies. And what they believe, many of the theories going around now, is that if too many black bodies are a part of this movement, the police will come in. And when they come in and things get out of hand, because all our allies will be working together, will be white allies, Chinese, all the allies will be working together, and then they said it would give Trump an excuse for martial law. There's a lot of things going around. Okay, the fact of the matter is it was well attended and folks did what they were supposed to do. So don't bring that up, my dear brother Lee Grant. That is not a valid stuff. Anyway, I want to bring my soliloquy from this morning, and then we'll take it on the other side. This I really want you guys to hear. Okay, let me tell you something, okay? We have to bring back this country to some realm of democracy. According to Bernie Sanders, we are now a pseudo-democracy. I think he's being charitable with that characterization. I don't think we've been a democracy for a very long time. And I tell you one thing, though, there's a lot of things that get started in Wisconsin, right? Interesting. What we saw in Wisconsin was more important than anybody realized, is what I should say. Because when we see that the Supreme Court justice over there in Wisconsin won that election, not by a hair, but by what is it today, a landslide, even as we had at the last minute somebody like Elon Musk using his billions and specifically giving away money to try to buy votes, Wisconsinians said, you're not going to buy, or at least of the ones that have voted, nearly 10% more of them than not said, no, we are not going to allow money to run our politics. And in so doing, they elected somebody who would actually do the right thing by their state. For me, that was an important flex point. And the reason why is because the theory is, and I know both of you know this, with Citizens United, the idea that money is speech and, that's a tenet that the Supreme Court used to pretty much say, hey, you can spend whatever you want. You can't stop, folks from spending money to some extent on these elections, these corporations. Well, in effect, that put the fear of many of us, and it still does. But the fact is that if we do our job, if we talk to people, if we engage people, we are much better than simply throwing money at something. Because I tell you what, the money can buy all the ads. The money can buy people to come and knock on your door. But if you have a friend, Jack, if you have a friend, Howard, who trusts you, who have faith in you, and you go and your friend is a strong MAGA conservative, and you look at your friend and you say, friend, he's your good friend. And you say, look, you may be into this right now, but because of X, Y, and Z, for me, this is what's been going on. Even if it goes against you, I need you to do a favor for some of us here. Go against your whatever you're going through right now. I need your vote. That is a lot more effective than just Elon Musk saying, I'll put $1 million into contention. And one of you, 100,000 people can win $1 million. Friendship, hugging, loving on, touching on people, letting people know that they belong, letting people know that they matter, which is what we've been lacking in the United States for a very, very long time. Where we don't, I live in Kingwood. I remember when we just got on this street, it was the homes were just getting built, etc. And as people moved in, we contacted them, and we gave them a little house, whatever, something, a pie. You run to the HEV and you get them something to let them feel welcome in the community, etc., etc., etc. Since, and that was the kind of community we had. And since, with all this Tea Party stuff, that slowly started to erode and people were just like factionalizing and folks started to believe things that they really shouldn't believe or remember the sins of the past that they should probably not forget, but not relive. And, and this is what you get. This is what the oligarchy needs. This is what the plutocracy needs. This is what the business folks need. When I say the business folks, I'm not talking to your mom and pop store. I'm talking about the only way you can have a failed economy be successful for the few is if those that are the pawns in that community feel somehow that it's not those on top that is screwing them, but it's a neighbor they have on the left and the right. My community has changed from the time I got here over 20 odd years ago, or probably 20 odd years ago, where everybody knew each other in the streets. And as people moved and came and things changed, I can tell you that on my street, there are probably 3 neighbors I know, and it's the old ones. It's amazing. So we have to reintegrate all of this. And hey, those those things that those 50501 things that you had over the weekend makes a difference. People started recommunicating, recontacting, rehugging, remembering that, hey, I'm in this, not for me alone.
We spend a lot of time.
And you know what is so important as well? Yeah, you have to remember that. I am this, not me alone, right? I am in this, not me alone. It's for everybody. And there's a piece that I didn't get a chance to cut out from a caller this morning that actually shows the selfishness and lack of humanity that we have allowed to enter our psyche. And I'm going to play that later on, maybe tomorrow, from this caller. I'm glad that came for me to remember that. Now, I don't address the right-wing folks in... tell Susan was there with 5 people. Hey, Bruce, tell Susan I said power to her. And I hadn't heard from you. I was going to take you to the one that we had. It wasn't a movie. It's the one that where Ray met me for the Houston Peace and Justice Center. Anyway, I don't normally address the right-wing stupidity in our chat, but I have to address one of them from Mike Cisak, and let me put it on the screen. Because the reason I address something like this is I don't want anybody who has a 501c4 or anything like that to be in distress. He put, here's what Mike Cisak says. GPS, we have geo-reference or geofence every event. This is not going to end well for NGOs and nonprofits below. In the past, each receives money from Act Blue and USAID. Stupid statement, right? Stupid statement. You can't mess with what other people do. But for those like indivisible look at what he puts on the tweet. Like if it's a problem, rise and resist, 501c4. Indivisible project, 501c4. Troublemakers, legal status is for profit. Democratic Socialists of America, 501c4. You notice it didn't say 501c3. It said 501c4. They can do this. The right, they are so less than intelligent. That is what we do as 501c4s. I've been a member of many 501c4s. C3s have to be educational and be less confrontational, etc. C4s don't have that restriction. Okay? ¿Qué pasa? Usa la mente, pendejo. Okay, now here's the thing. You have a group out there. You guys go out there and use your voice. Don't let them put all these things. And by the way, if they wanted a tit for tat for every non-abortion group, gun group, and all these other groups, we have them geolocated as well because it's there permanently. And we can geolocate and find a lot of non-profit gun groups, non-profit abortion groups, non-profit and all the wacko things people do on the other side. We can find them. So folks, do not be deterred from some of the stupidity you will hear from the right to try to put some sort of fear in you. Remember, you are the one with the intellect. They're the ones that are, again, following just what they're told to think, what they're told to do. Remember that you are the one with the intellect. And I don't say that lightly. All right, let's continue the program. All right, let's see what else I got here in the chat that I need to talk about. Keisha will go against Stacy. I didn't know Stacy was running. That did not include persons who did not register. The number of participants was a lot higher than 5.5 million. I tell you. All right, Yvette, I don't see you in the chat. Yeah, she's in the chat. Let's see what else we got here. Bridge MCP says there were only a few issues at some protests, all caused by MAGA trying to crash them. The police got rid of them. Yeah, again, remember, MAGA is a violent movement. We always must remember that. Remember January 6th, feces in the call, murdering police officers. Yes, MAGA is a violent movement. All right. What else have we got here? Paul Fleming says Senator Mitt Romney unleashes on Trump, a business genius he's not. That's an old quote, however. If I recall correctly, I think that one is old. Let me see if it's the one that I'm thinking about. He said that I think this one is very, very old. This is very, very old. But If you guys want to listen to it, I think it's worth a listen if I can get it going.
Wait. Isn't he a huge business success?
All right, I think I'm going to play it for y'all. I always like this one. I always like this one. Let me play this one for you guys. Let's go ahead and play that for you.
What little he has said, so even though Donald Trump has offered very few specific economic plans, what little he has said is enough to know that he would be very bad for American workers and for American families. But you say, wait. Isn't he a huge business success? Doesn't he know what he's talking about? No, he isn't. And no, he doesn't. His bankruptcies have crushed small businesses and the men and women who work for them. He inherited his business. He didn't create it. And whatever happened to Trump Airlines? How about Trump University? And then there's Trump Magazine and Trump Vodka and Trump Steaks and Trump Mortgage. A business genius he is not. Now, so even though Donald Trump has offered very few specific economic plans,
a business genius he is not. A business genius he is not. But we sit back and wonder, how could we possibly elect such a flawed person? And I'm going to give you an answer. The Democratic Party, because even as it is right now, the Democratic Party is better for every American. But because it hasn't been progressive enough, because it hasn't passed the policies that Americans say that they want, a lot of folks figure, you know what the heck, doesn't matter. But most importantly, like I said, I want to make sure that we don't mix apples and oranges. As bad as the Democratic Party is right now, if Kamala Harris was not a black woman, it would be a Democrat who had won that race. Kamala lost because America is still a racist and a sexist country. That until we Democrats and Republicans alike understand that, look into our souls, and I'm talking about all our souls, that will not change. We have to be honest with ourselves of who we are and why a Kamala Harris really lost. She only loses when her name appears. All right. Egberto, please, one of my favorite signs. Okay, girl, if you ask for something, your wish is my command, Breach. Why do you make it seem like you had to beg me to put it up? You know better than that. There we go. I was accidentally added to this protest by a Signal group chat. You're right. That was a good one, Breach. I give that to you. That was a good one. That was a very good one. Let's see what else we got here. Michael Rudnin says, counter-protesters, agitators have been trying to mess with nonviolent protesters since forever. It was bad in the 2020s and it is bad now. Yep. Let's see what else have we got here. Reporter, the EU has said they offered 0 for 0 tariffs on cars and industrial goods. Is that not enough? Trump? No, it's not enough. Let me tell you something. I don't think I am disappointed that the European Union came back with anything. I think if the world wants to solve this problem, everybody's going to have to feel some pain to destroy Trump's false machismo, Trump's false bully efforts. Everybody should say no negotiations. America needs the products from overseas. It's an exchange. They need the products from overseas. Punto y final. So, and that is where, just like Democrats too often don't have the stones to stand things out, to say, okay, I'll call your bluff. So is the EU. You know who seems to have the stones to do it? You know who seems to currently have the stones? It seems like China does. Let's see if they hold on. My dear brother Ray, great talking to you after seeing you this weekend. How you doing, brother?
Hello.
Yeah, can you hear me, Ray?
Yeah. I'm sorry. The YouTube was playing the loop over you. I can hear you now.
Talk to me.
Yes, sir. Yeah, I was disturbed. When I went back and looked at some stats on another video because, to your point, what you said, if Kamala Harris had not been a black woman, we would have had a Democratic president. And I'm going to hold my black people accountable because, still in all, we did break, highly to the majority, in our interest with the Democratic vote. But I got to speak to that 20%, it disturbs me that even though we still had a higher majority of black people who voted Democratic, when you look at the trend actually did give Donald Trump the advantage when you look at the 1 and 2 to 3% of black people that vote in his direction. And the reason I want to, hold my black people accountable was because when you look at the factors that made a decision into why they chose Trump over Kamala, a lot of them say that, according to their responses to the survey, they feel like a man is supposed to be the head of the household. A lot of them believe that, a man has to be the leader, a woman can't be the leader. So there's a lot of misogyny inside of our own community that we have to deal with. And it's not just, the other people that, obviously the Caucasian population has a major influence in our election. But, if it had been for that 1 or 2 to 5% of black people that wouldn't have fell for the misogyny that Trump was serving, I feel like we would have gotten ahead,
No,
and
actually,
I know you probably don't like to hold them accountable.
No. I hold everybody accountable. I trust me, my brother. Here's the thing. The numbers are as follows. The population of the United States is 13. First of all, I want everybody to hear, not because one is black means they should vote for a black candidate. Okay. I don't think any black person would vote for if the Supreme Court was up for voting. I don't think any black person would vote for Clarence Thomas. OK, likewise, if we take a look at how people of color vote, we are the least people who use color as who they vote for. Let me give an example. Gene Green was represented a Mexican area for the longest time when a lot of other challengers were in fact Mexican, and I can give you that for black folks and a lot of other folks. We vote our interests. That is what black folks usually vote. Now even some of those black folks that voted for Trump, some of them were voting what they thought was their economic interest, not realizing they were putting their physical interests at hand. But I always said being a business person doesn't make you intelligent. It just makes you a business person. That said, Ray, there's not enough black people to, even if 100% of the black people, black men, black women voted for Kamala, she still would have lost. There's not enough black people to make that difference. A large percentage of a small number is still a small number. But here's the kicker. I was never comfortable when a lot of times you have black women going around and saying we are the swing vote or we are the swing vote for the Democratic Party, because numerically it doesn't make any sense. The real swing votes are white women. White women are the real swing voters. And why do we call them swing voters? Because many look at white men in the aggregate. White men, I'm not saying all, because look how many white men on our team right here. We have we have a bunch of white men here. Bruce Pollard, we've got we've got Patrick. No, let me finish. I need to answer this because I want folks to understand what you're saying, which is what you said is very important. white men, 33% of white men are doing their job as far as being, as not being part of the white patriarchy, if you will, right? So it turns out that it is white women that turns out numerically to be the swing voters. And the problem that we have is even within white women's community, they are actually a part of the white patriarchy in that they will go against their own interests, many of them, to support the white patriarchy. That and it is some of the less educated white women that do this. So the job then is for all of us to educate all of us against this particular behavior, because it is sad that they didn't realize how badly against their interest they were going, sir. Anyway, finish up, Ray, and then we'll go to the next video.
Yeah, and I mean, I know black people, we only can make up so much of the difference, but I'm just talking about the trends. But I mean, to your point, white women do hold a big part of that pie. Latino men, they broke pretty large for Trump, which to me was, if you say my word, disgusting. That they actually.
You know what? It's so funny. They're getting. The funny thing is, ethnic-looking Latinos. I'm not talking about white Latinos, but ethnic-looking Latinos. It's amazing that I tend to be stronger MAGA, and those are the ones that Trump is actually taking to task and throwing them out of the country. So they pretty much get what they deserve. Continue, brother.
Yeah, that's the FAFO side of things.
There you go. And, exactly right.
Their time is coming soon enough. But I mean, basically, yeah, we have to break our numbers back to where they belong, because I mean, spared for the voter suppression by your good guy Greg Palast and all these other measures that they're putting in place. We have to vote our numbers. If we are able to vote and there's no barrier, we should be damned if we don't vote.
I agree. And the thing about it is, I think we're getting there. But hey, I got a couple more videos that I got to do. I want to do the video with State Senator Molly. You're going to like this one, man. You're going to love this one, actually. So check it out. All right.
All right. Let me go ahead and tune in. I appreciate you, Egberto, and thank you for the hospitality at the party.
Thank you, brother. Peace. All right, folks, I want you to see this video. I think this is an important one. Check this out, and then we'll take it on the other side. I just listened to a clip that was made aware to me by one of our local political activists. So I went back to the whole system and watched the whole setup, and it went like this. Former Houston District Attorney Kim Ogg went to Austin to support Senator Paul Bettencourt's new bill 2046, that turned a misdemeanor into a felony for directing government contracts maybe to a friend or whatever. And, she made a whole big deal out of, in effect, the standard Republican line. Lock him up. Let's be clear here. I want an honest government that passes contracts to people that are deserving of the contract. And as we know, in governmental contracting, whenever one of the good old boys don't get a contract, if a small company gets a contract or whatever, what they attempt to do is say there was something nefarious that got that small company a contract. And that's what Kim Ogg, who is was a Democratic district attorney in Houston, who always went after Democrats and allowed Republicans to get away with pretty much anything they wanted to get away with, including what many of us believe are crimes. She went against Judge Lina Hidalgo, the first Latina judge and youngest of the largest county in Texas, the third largest in the country. She went after her and got 3 of her seniors indicted for supposedly doing this with government contracts. Now, Kim Ogg used that as an example to why the Texas legislature should support these bills. this new bill by Paul Bettencourt. And Senator West asked a few questions. He said, wait a minute, you had those 3 people you indicted, right? Yes. And what was the result of that case? Well, 2 of them were acquitted, and the other one formed some sort of a deal. Did any of them go to jail? No. Did any one of them did any kind of restitutions? No. Does any of this require any penalties on these people? No. So in other words, you had a very weak case. You didn't have a case. Well, not exactly. Well, you had a weak case. I am a lawyer. That's what West is saying. I'm a lawyer, and I know Miss Kim Ogg and whatever other attorney was there with you. If you try to indict these 3 people and somehow they walk, that means you had a weak case. But the thing is, she wanted to lock people up. And the idea being that is what she would do. And God knows, changing this from a misdemeanor to a felony could easily get folks, if she had a weak case, but suppose she got a jury that still convicted these folks, they could be put away for several years. Well, it was time for Senator Molly Cook, our senator from this area, to question her. And since she said that the reason you wanted it to make it a felony is to increase the reasons that people won't be doing these crimes, they'll deter them from trying to direct contracts. And Molly Cook had a simple answer. Senator Molly Cook had a simple question. Do you have the data to show that this type of deterrence would stop this from occurring? We don't want to just write laws that lock people up if it doesn't serve the purpose, its intended purpose, to stop this activity of people getting contracts they don't deserve. She gave a long response. Molly Cook comes back and says, but does it? Well, I tell you what, why don't you listen to how Molly Cook just about knocked her out on this one, and then we'll take it on the other side because it was epic.
Senator Cook.
Thank you, Chairman. So what I've read is that the certainty of being caught is more powerful deterrent than the punishment itself. Can y'all speak to what you were doing on the county level to increase oversight and auditing in these processes? And as someone who represents 1 million Harris County residents, I can tell you we really want everybody out of the news and not committing crimes. I'm not really eager to just see everybody thrown in jail.
What is the question, Senator?
What were you doing to try to prevent this from happening?
Well, I'm testifying here that there should be stronger penalties, so anybody who thinks that they can circumvent the law will think twice.
What data do you have to support that deterrents are the most powerful mechanism rather than the certainty of being caught, like increasing oversight?
Well, people don't like to go to jail for the most part.
I'd like to see data, not anecdotal references.
Well, in terms of deterrence data, I didn't bring any, but I think that all of us have shared the responsibility and liability of being public officials. And I think we understand our responsibility to the public. And when we violate that responsibility, I think that the public wants us to be held accountable. And that's why I'm here supporting Senator Bettencourt's bills.
I heard no data today.
On deterrence in general, no, ma'am.
Thank you.
So as you see, here is Kim Ogg, who was the former Democratic district attorney, constantly supporting bills that have the values of Republicans, which are valueless and simply attempting to always lock people up, whether deserved or undeserved. And, there we had Kim Ogg ready to support Paul Bettencourt to lock more people up. And what Senator Molly Cook is trying to say is, don't you think instead of trying to create deterrence and locking people up, that you should probably create structures that make sure this stuff doesn't happen? Instead of going for the law and order crap, stop it from happening in the first place. That's the difference between Democrats and Republicans. If you want to stop crime, create programs that make crime not look advantageous. That is our policies. Instead of having kids running around and then throwing the book at them, create programs that have kids doing the right thing, having them keeping busy. In the case of adults, make it that to commit a crime in a government contract because it is so open, you can't do it. Otherwise, you're exposed. That is what prevents it from occurring. Systemic changes and not a false deterrence by locking people up, because the same people that take advantage of getting all these government contracts every single time, they will continue to win, and those small people who are looking for contracts, etc., won't get them, because folks are going to say, well, if you gave that little contract to that person, maybe we should do some sort of investigation that now can become felonious. Folks, this was a knockout punch by Senator Molly Cook and former District Attorney Kim Ogg, who the progressive base of the Democratic Party removed from office. This is what we actually, not removed from office, removed from the party, and then voted her out of office. Anyway, folks, I thought this is an important one for people to see. Democracy in action, and a senator who actually did the work and asked the pertinent questions. Absolutely so. Absolutely so. Breach, I don't think I got a link attached to that. So please check to make sure that it was sent. Let me see. Going through the messages I have. Whoa. This last Rachel Maddow one is longer than the 10 minutes we have. I tell you what, guys. Go ahead. The last video that I have is Rachel Maddow pointing out that I really wanted to see that. I'm going to play it. Let's go. I wanted you guys to see this. It is less than 3 months that we have been under the bondage of Donald Trump. Less than 3 months. And we continuously learn more and more about how his mind works. Now, Rachel Maddow had a piece today that should scare everyone, because we're only under 3 months into the administration. Means there's another 3 years and 9 months and a few weeks left of this administration. And if so much damage can be done in this amount of time, just think what would happen if Congress stays silent, if the Supreme Court and the district courts and the circuit courts don't do their jobs as they should, which we have no guarantee that they will. The courts are holding thus far, but not the Republican Congress or the Republican Senate. I want you to listen to the genesis of Trump's tariffs that's putting the world economic system on the brink. So I want you to listen to the genesis of this, and then we'll take it on the other side.
It is hard to get your head around how much damage this one man can cause. I think it's even harder to get your head around simultaneously the fact that he can do damage of this magnitude with such a teeny tiny amount of thought, right? You think it would take like a grand plan and some big brains to figure out how to destroy the economy of the richest nation on earth. But that's not how it's working out. Turns out it doesn't take a big idea or a lot of big brains working together. I know that this may be something that you remember, but just in case it's not, I'm just going to put this back on the front page here just for a second. Because do you remember where Trump got the tariff thing from in the first place? Do you remember like when and why and how we started talking about tariffs in the first place? It was in his first campaign for president. Trump didn't really have any formal economic advisors. So he told his son-in-law, Jared, to find him an economic advisor. Trump reportedly gave Jared some vague ideas of what his thoughts were on economic issues. You know, something, make me look tough, China bad, something. Jared then decided to find his father-in-law a financial advisor for his presidential campaign by going on the Amazon.com website and starting to browse books. Not like reading the books, because you can't do that on the Amazon website. He was just looking at the covers, looking at the titles. And he found a book title that he thought was so cool. The title was Death by China. Oh my God, that's so cool. That's so awesome. And that apparently was it. Quote from Vanity Fair. Trump gave Jared a summary of his views and then asked him to do some research. Kushner simply went on Amazon, where he was struck by the title of one book, Death by China, co-authored by a man named Peter Navarro. Jared then cold called Navarro, a well-known trade deficit hawk who agreed to join the team as an economic advisor. Navarro was a major advocate for an aggressive pro-tariff policy. Where did Peter Navarro get his idea that tariffs would be a good policy for America? What was his backup for that conviction? Well, he did have backup from a real expert who he cited in at least a half dozen of his books, including the one that Jared found on Amazon that fateful day. In all of his books, Peter Navarro has cited an economics expert to justify his views. And the economics expert he cites is somebody named Ron Vera, V-A-R-A, Ron Vera. When Trump won the presidency and entered the White House, this Ron Vera started circulating a memo around Washington in support of Trump using tariffs in trade policy. According to the New York Times, the memo had been, quote, sent from an email address purportedly belonging to Ron Vera. At one point, Ron Vera wrote in the memo that Trump could, quote, ride the tariffs to victory. The problem is Ron Vera doesn't exist. He never has. The economics expert that Peter Navarro has long cited to explain why he's so gung-ho on tariffs, this person, Ron Vera, is a made-up person. He is a fictional person. Peter Navarro invented Ron Vera as his expert source so he could quote this expert source over and over and over again in his crackpot books. Who is Ron Vera? Ron Vera is an anagram of Navarro, which is his last name. I mean, my name anagrams to Macho Waddler, but I don't see myself trying to talk you into doing what Macho Waddler wants, right? But that really is how the Trump administration crafted its tariff policy. That's where Trump came up with the tariff idea, circulating a fake memo from a fake person with a fake email address in order to make it look like this was a serious issue being debated by real experts. That is the intellectual basis on which Donald Trump today wiped $6 trillion of wealth out of existence and crashed America's markets and brought America and the world to the brink of a self-inflicted, on-purpose, global Great Depression along the lines of what we had in 2008 and what the pandemic inflicted upon us in 2020. This time, the global disaster is Donald Trump's big brain.
Rachel Maddow points out, this fictional way of fixing our entire economic system via tariffs was just a dream cake of an imaginary economist that uses the reverse letters of Peter Navarro, one of the advisors to the president. It is amazing that we have gotten rid of trillions of dollars of capitalization for that stupidity. Now, here's the thing, because I don't only want to blame Donald Trump for this. I want to blame the economic system at large. How can an economic system be as fragile that the words of a dunce, that the actions of a dunce not yet implemented in full has the potential, the ability to remove trillions of dollars of people's wealth in an instant? What kind of economic system allows that? It has to be an economic system not based on real values, but based on a speculation, based on some sort of a casino where things aren't necessarily really what they are. I want you guys to think about it. Yes, Donald Trump is doing stupidity and the markets are reacting to what he's done based on how this type of market reacts. But ask yourself the question, how the hell does a market crashes people's entire savings or a large portion of people what they expected to be their retirements in one day? What kind of an economic system allows for that kind of volatility in one's capitalization, one's personal capitalization? Look, I've been talking about this economic system being a fraud for decades. But I mean, the fact that one man can do this, the fact that there are no checks and balances that came into effect to stop that, tells us that we have a lot more to work for or work towards. Yes, it is true. This man is working on fallacies. Yes, it is true. that what's happening in the markets is his fault. But it is definitely not something that has to be that we have such a feeble, such a weak, such a speculative economic system that allows a voice and not the values of what things really are to determine its failure or success. Now, Donald Trump, with what he has done, likely would have caused the premature deaths of hundreds, if not thousands, of Americans who thought they had a nest egg. A nest egg disappeared since he's come into power, because the decline in the stock market, the crash didn't just occur in the last 2 days. The crash has been ongoing since he's been in office. So again, while we need to mitigate Trump on this, going forward, we should also consider revamping our economic system, because what we are showing is that the economic system as we have it today is not based on anything concrete or value. The speculative nature of it means that at certain timings, whether you see it or not, you can go under. And with a country where there's next to no safety net in that condition, we have a lot to work towards. Progressives need to get on board, and make sure to inform folks about not the volatility of our economic system, but the fraudulence of this economic system, that a fraud like Donald Trump, with just words and made up tariffs from an imaginary economist, can crash the world's markets. My God, how weak. And that is a fact. The economic system is a fraud. And when we really, really acknowledge that and get an economic system that is really based on something of value, instead of the speculation of all the stockbrokers that create nothing for society, on all the people who move around papers, investment bankers that have no value. Investment bankers have no value. There are much better ways that we could design that doesn't put the system at risk and put all those people that this crash has likely affected the well-being of millions of Americans who thought they were going to retire this year, but must now wait another 2 years before they get a chance to do anything. Anyway, folks, I got to get out of here. I want to thank you guys for being here today. I want to ask you to support the program. The best way to support the program is to, if you're on Substack, please become a paid subscriber of our newsletter. We do a lot. Paid subscribers get a lot of benefits, including reading all of our books for free, special Substack, special podcasts, etc. Please become a paid subscriber to help us do all of this. We write books, we write articles, we do all of this. How to do this? Go to politicsdoneright.com/newsletter. politicsdoneright.com/newsletter. If you need to send me a personal message, send it to info@politicsdoneright.com, info@politicsdoneright.com. But again, please, as best as you can, it's very inexpensive. Please become a paid subscriber of our Substack newsletter. And you know what, folks? I guarantee you, you are helping the movement do what the movement needs to do. politicsdoneright.com/newsletter. Got to get out of here. Love you all. My name is Egberto Willies. This is Politics Done Right. And you guys know how I end this baby. I am what? Out.
We spend a lot of time deconstructing the news, trying to parse it into a form that everybody can understand. We try to find those little nitpicks where it flies above the fray, etc. If you really like these videos that we do, I want to ask a big favor. Please go ahead, number 1, subscribe to our channel, and number 2, please join if you can. Thank you so kindly for watching. Keep watching. Please remember to share. We must populate the entire internet with our progressive message, a message that we know is what most Americans say that they want. So help us, please join.